Welcome to Motivational Monday. Today we're going to continue down the path we've been talking about the last few weeks. We've been talking about the power of our thinking, right? Our attitude, our mindset. We've been talking how important it is in our life because our thinking drives what? Our actions, and our actions drive our results. Now, we talked about good thinking, good actions, good results, and we've been talking about ways to constantly maintain and improve the right thinking, right? And one of the ways we did, we went back 3,000 years and we started practice. In fact, last week we gave you the 31-day challenge to use Proverbs as a way to daily improve your thinking, to become more knowledgeable, to think better so that you can act better, right? And we said there's a proverb for each day of the month. Today's the 25th. I'm going to go ahead and read Proverbs what? Proverbs 25. How you doing on this new habit, right? If you haven't started, that's okay. Get started today. It takes 3 minutes, right? So I want to share one of the Proverbs that I wrote down today. Remember, I talked about that advanced technique of just taking one of, say, the 20 or 30 verses in each chapter. Just take one a day and meditate and think about it and put it in your life. If it's something that you want to live, if it's something you want to live by, you have to force it in your life, right? By thinking about it. When we think about it, it will drive our actions, right? I do want to take a step back though and talk about why are we talking about Solomon and who is he anyway, right? Who is Solomon? Why are we listening to him? Well, we talked about Solomon was the wisest man who ever lived. How did it happen? And let me give you an example of a story maybe you've heard and didn't realize it was Solomon. But Solomon was David's son, as we've said, and he was the king of Israel. And God asked him, what do you want? And this is what the history books tell us. And Solomon asked for wisdom to rule the people because he became king at a young age, right? He asked for wisdom. And so he became the wisest man who's ever lived. Now, let me give you an example of his wisdom. There's a story in the Bible, it talks about a historical story about two women that came to Solomon with a grievance. Now, I don't know if you know this, but in those days, if you had a grievance against your neighbor, you didn't go to court, you went to the king, and the king would listen to both sides of the story, and he would give a verdict, a judgment, right? So these two women come before Solomon, and both of them had newborns, and one of the newborns was dead, and one was still alive. The first one, of course, claimed that the alive baby was hers, and that the other woman had rolled over, and of course, the second one's story was what? The exact same. Both laid claim to the live baby, didn't they? What do? Well, here's what Solomon did. In a shocking statement, he said, bring me a sword, we'll cut the baby in half, right? Sounds shocking, and it sounds brutal. But what was Solomon doing? As soon as he said that, one of the women piped up and said, no, do not harm the baby, give the baby to her. What was Solomon doing? He wanted to surface who the real mother was. The mother who lost her baby was hurt and was lashing out and wanted that other baby, did not want to lose a baby, but the real mother would rather give up the baby than have the baby harmed, right? This is a sample of his wisdom, right? And there's stories, the Queen of Sheba, everybody traveled thousands of miles. In those days, that was hard to get Solomon's wisdom. For 3,000 years, people have been growing from this wisdom, right? What are we asking you to do? We're encouraging you. Get into this wisdom. You don't have to believe in the Bible to benefit from these wise sayings. I read Confucius, and I'm not a Buddha, right? I read The Art of War for Sun Tzu. There's a lot of wisdom in those. I constantly want to fill my mind with right thinking. Proverbs is just another way to go ahead and start your day right. During your 15 minutes of plain solitude, why not spend 3 minutes and read a proverb, right? All right, let me give you the proverb for today. Proverbs 25:28 says, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. Some of the interpretation of the Bible said is a person who lacks discipline, right? What is it saying? It says if you don't have self-control, if you don't have discipline in your life, what's going to happen? You'll be like a city that's walls are torn down. In other words, anything can invade and own you and take over your life. Discipline and self-control guard us. Isn't this a good reminder? Aren't there things in our life that we're not making good choices? And of course, those bad choices cost us. And that has to do, it plays into our thinking. It goes, this whole circle begins again. What we want to encourage you guys is take one, use that today. What are your habits like? That's another form of discipline or self-control. Are your habits strengthening your life, or are they stealing from your life? All right, continue your 31-day challenge, guys. Read a proverb. If you haven't read it today, write one down, and we'll see you next Monday. Good selling.